Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for a Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Butts-Chester. You guys know who I am, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about our topic. Today, we are talking about faith and femininity, how godly confidence and womanhood align. So, you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am really excited about today because we're going to talk about something that we haven't necessarily spoken on before, and that is faith and femininity. Now, today's episode is grounded in the scripture of Proverbs 31:25. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. So, welcome back to Daily Spark with Dr. Angela, a place that I like to think of that is faith-fueled, that keeps you living to be your best self, where we join together to have our coffee or our tea and talk about the things that affect us in our day-to-day living. So today, we're getting into something beautiful, faith and femininity. So, ladies, if you shall, let's be real about who we are today. Somewhere along the way, many were taught that being godly meant toning it down. That if we were to tone down our voice, if we were to tone down our beauty, if we were to tone down our confidence, that's what would make us the best possible version of ourselves. I know, I know. I don't know who started that. I don't know whose idea that was, but so many people share that with me when they're in counseling, and how they have this internal conflict that they are not someone who is extremely soft spoken, that speaks just a click above a whisper. They're not overly loud, don't get me wrong about that either, but they're just not that soft spoken person. Or perhaps they're the type of woman who likes to wear makeup or lipstick or have her hair done before she goes and leaves the house, where others believe that you should not do those things. Or perhaps you are the woman that is confident. You know exactly who you are and whose you are, and you walk around with it. And people are constantly telling you to dampen that, to turn that down, to dim your light. I know it has happened to far too many. But here's what I believe in my heart of hearts is that God doesn't ask you to dim anything. He designed you to shine with Him, not in spite of Him. Proverbs 31:25 says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come." That's not just an elegant woman, but that's a woman that has the power of presence. God makes everything perfect and true. We are created in His image. So if that is true, then we will always be at our best when we seek Him first, when we make sure that that part of our self is put forth first. So today we're talking about what it really means to embody both spirit and softness, to embody purpose and perfume, to embody being healed as well as being in our heels. You don't have to pick between being powerful and being feminine. You were built for both. The power and the beauty of both strength and of softness. Let's unpack that. Faith doesn't flatten your femininity, it fuels it. And femininity isn't just about our style or our softness. It's about the sacred way that we move through the world with God. It is the way in which God allows us to move with that grace, with the elegance, with the dignity, with the femininity that was given to a woman. So, whether you are wearing your red lip, or perhaps you are going out today with a bare face, maybe you chose your sneakers today instead of your stilettos. Your femininity is not a performance, it's a presence. Here's how we know that it's not about the costume that we put on, that it's not the character that we choose to present to the world, but that it is our true self. That is the presence of God in us. How do we know that to be true? Ladies, let me ask you this. Hasn't there been a time in your life where you said, I'm going to run to the store really quickly and I'm not going to change clothes. I just have on like jeans, t-shirt, your sneakers or your tennis shoes. You have your hair in a ponytail or, maybe it's down, but you just kind of have it back. You don't have nothing is done. Nothing is polished, right? You're probably barefaced or maybe you have some lip gloss on or so, but it is like bare minimum. You're not all done up the way that you would be if you were going to work, right? And you run really quickly to go get some gas, or you go to the grocery store, or you run over just to get something really quickly. And how many times does someone come up to you and say, "You are so beautiful. You're really pretty," right? Like they give you a compliment. And in the back of your mind, you go, "What? I don't have any makeup on. This is, bummy stuff that I have on. Like, oh my goodness, I was hoping no one was going to see me." So it's not about all of the stuff that we put on. It is about our countenance. It is our aura that people are able to see and feel. So when you are a feminine woman, it doesn't matter if you are all dolled up or if you are out there barefaced. They're going to see the beauty that is in you, which draws them to the beauty of you. And let's also remember that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What one person might find attractive, another person may not, which just means that that cup of tea isn't for you. It's for someone else. It doesn't make that a bad cup of tea. It just makes it not for you. So, in all of that, I want you to always remember however you present yourself to the world, as long as you are presenting your best in that moment, then people will be able to see the God that is in you because God will go before you. So, how can we look for and express this godly confidence? What does it look like? And I'm going to give you 3 ways that you may be able to recognize it. Number 1, knowing you are whole without needing approval. Yes, knowing you are whole, that you are okay without needing approval or permission from someone else. Now, that's going to be a real doozy for some people on both sides of the coin. For some people, it's hard because they're looking for the validation from others before they themselves feel validated. The flip side of the coin is there are some of y'all out there that feel that you are the judge. that you are the one who gives the validation. And you are going to run into someone this week that does not need your approval or your validation to be okay with themselves. If that happens, again, it's a two-sided coin. No matter which side you're on, you're looking for the validation or you're the one who gives the validation. When you have that moment where you realize, wait, I need to take a step back for a moment. Know that this is a pivot for you. This is the moment that you're understanding that it doesn't have to be this way. So know that you are whole without anyone else having to tell you that you're okay. If you understand that you're whole because God made you that way, then that's a whole different understanding. That's a whole different stride in your walk. That's a different tone in your speaking because you're already validated by God. Number 2, speaking with wisdom, but also with warmth. Now, this too might be a difficult one because people like to use that wonderful catchphrase of, well, I'm just trying to tell it like it is. I'm just giving you the facts. I just want to be honest. I understand. And you can be honest. You can keep it real. You can just tell it all without being condescending, without being degrading, without patronizing, right? Like you can be this awesome and amazing person and share the story of yourself and or others, have conversations with yourself and or others without doing it in a way that alienates, that's polarizing, or that simply is to try to shame someone else to make yourself feel or look better. So, speaking with wisdom means that you are sharing the facts. You're sharing what needs to be shared. But by doing it with warmth, you are mindful of all parties involved. If you wouldn't want it done to you, then don't do it to someone else. If you know that what you're going to say may have a negative effect on those who hear it, at least give people a heads up that it's coming, right? Okay, you guys, I have something to tell you and it's gonna be harsh. Brace for impact, right? And then they're like, uh-oh, here it comes. Then tell them, this is the way it is. And unfortunately, I can't keep everyone. We're going to have to let someone go, or we're closing down shop, or we're opening up another branch. So everyone here, some people are going to be transferred, whatever it is. But you have to, or you should give people a little bit of a breather, of a moment to gather themselves before hearing what needs to be said. The other is walking into a room aware that your light isn't arrogance, it's assignment. Now, I can tell you that this has happened to me personally, that people assumed that I was one thing or another simply because I was in the room. Then, once they found out why I was in the room, then they felt a little embarrassed because they had not treated me as the person in the room. So, with that being said, when you see someone, just because you don't know who they are, or because you feel that they may fit the description of a particular type of person, perhaps you shouldn't assume. You should ask. In that allows you to understand what's happening at any given moment. So because I walked into the room aware of my light, because I walked in the room aware of who I am and whose I am, some people didn't understand why my light was shining so brightly. But in that, By time they left, they understood. Now, this is not a brag or anything like that. It is a matter of fact that certain people have been placed in your life to help increase who you are. You have run into someone that is a resource. You have run into someone that has been a wealth of information, and it has changed your life. And if you haven't, keep living. You will. So many people, when you sit down and you talk to successful folks, there is usually a story that they can tell you about someone who helped them very early on in their career, or that really gave them bits and pieces of information as a young person, as a young adult. And it really stuck with them. And because that conversation was had, because they were shown something or allowed to have access to something, their life has changed for the better. That if they had not had that happen, they wouldn't be who they are today. So, walking into a room aware that your light isn't arrogance, but that it's assignment, allows you to deliver the message in the way in which it should be delivered. I also like to remind folks that many times what you see or believe is arrogance or cockiness in someone else is really the trait that you see about yourself that you dislike that someone else possesses. What do I mean? You thought that you were the only one who knew about that subject. Now you don't like Molly because she knows as much as you do about that subject. You didn't realize that you aren't the only one who knows about that, and Jake does as well. In fact, Jake has been to the place, he purchased some stuff, he goes back every year, and he just got back 2 weeks ago. Right. So now you feel some kind of way because he's sharing his experience. Far too often, what we call out in another person is your behavior as well. You just don't see it in yourself, not as the negative word that you have um, given to another. You don't see it as arrogance. You see it as confidence. You don't see it as cockiness. You see it as being determined and assured of your place. You know what I'm saying. You choose to put a different label on it because you want it to be positive for yourself, but negative for another. So when we are looking at how we can operate and how we are who we are, walking in our godly confidence will look like certain things to you and perhaps look like another thing to someone else if they are not balanced, if they are not viewing you with the lens of confidence in themselves. How do we know that to be true? Because a confident woman in who she is and what she does can cheer on her fellow sister, can cheer on her fellow woman simply because that woman is doing great things. Keep an eye out for those who applaud for you, those who applaud with you, as well as those who do not. Because each time it tells you a story about that person. So let's take off the shame about beauty. You can be a prayerful woman and be polished. You can love your perfume, but you can also be bold. You can have your curls, or you can wear your hair straight. The fact of the matter is this: you can still surrender your life to Christ, be surrounded by God, and do what you have been called to do, however that looks for you. So, in that, just be aware that God walks with us. God is with us in all that we do. So this world needs women who can reflect who God is and what God is in full color, not just in monochrome. Alrighty, everyone, it is time for us to take a very short break, but don't worry, when we get back, we will continue this conversation. We'll be back right after this.
Discovery. No, just a sec.
What would it look like if we listened more? Could the right voice, the right set of words, bring us all just a little closer? Get us to open up, even push us further? It could, if we took the time to listen. The most inspiring minds, the most compelling stories. Download Audible and listen for a change.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. Today we are talking about faith and femininity. Let's jump back into that conversation. So, are you realizing that your confidence is calling you and that you are, in fact, allowed to be seen? Then congratulations. I'm so glad that you are coming into this new knowing. One of the biggest lies whispered to godly women is this: stay small, stay quiet, don't draw attention to yourself. But here's the truth: God doesn't bless you with purpose so you can hide it. Esther didn't save her people in secret. Deborah didn't lead from the background. And Ruth didn't apologize for showing up in Boaz's field. So confidence isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's saying, God, if you've placed me here, I'm going to walk like I belong here because you do. So, yes, ma'am, go ahead and show up to that meeting fully dressed in your excellence. Smile in your photos. Take up space in the conversations. Take up space in your photos. Be feminine. Be faithful. Be free to be who God has called you to be. When we are at our functions, like at our workshops and classes and trainings, be fun. You don't have to, just stand there making yourself small. If everyone has that ta-da like pose, when you look at those pictures, what do you say? Man, I wish I was there. That looks like fun. Because every woman is shining her light. And that's what I want to encourage you to do as well. Because when you embrace your full design, you give other women permission to do so as well. So please, by all means, continue to show up and to show others that it is okay to be how God has created you. There will be some women who will be very soft spoken. And if that's what God has called them to do, then that is what they shall do. There are going to be some women that have been called to be loud and bold. And if that's what God has called them to do, then that's what they shall do. Or you might be somewhere in between. If you don't know what is me, I've lost myself along the way due to some circumstances in life. Ask God to remind you. Ask God to stir that up in you once again, to remind you, what does your voice sound like? What are your thoughts? If we all have the mind of Christ, then that means that you have been given a certain task, a certain thing that really gets you fired up, that keeps you motivated and inspired. Ask for that once again. And when you do that, you'll find your new light. Or let me say, your light will be rekindled. You will find your fire again. You will find that voice that allows you to inspire others. No matter what you do, no matter where you work or with whom you work, if you were meant to inspire someone, you are going to, even if it is in one of the most remote places in the world. You were placed there for such a time. Walk in that purpose. So let me leave you with this. The final word is you are the evidence. If no one told you today, or maybe no one's told you lately, let me remind you, you can be godly and gorgeous. You can be faithful and feminine. You can be powerful and peaceful. You can be bold and be beautiful. You are the living, breathing evidence that faith and femininity are not at odds with each other. They are in alignment with each other. They don't have to play cosplay. They, in fact, coexist in you for a reason. So go ahead, laugh a little bit louder. Choose your favorite shade of lipstick. Say yes to the things that light up your spirit, and never again apologize for being the woman that God has called you to be. That is our truth for today, that you are fabulous, you are fierce, and you are beautifully a woman. Thank you, everyone, for spending some time with me here today on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I hope that I have once again enlightened, inspired, and empowered you. You could have been anywhere, and you chose to spend it here today with me, and I thank you for doing so. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.